We got some football for you, Nate. Oh, right there, Dustin. We're talking about our top 10 kind of surprises, our overachievers from the 2016 season, the guys that helped you win your championships. So these are guys that, not only gave you good value on draft day, but just kind of in general, just kind of turned our heads like, maybe didn't see that coming.
So the first guy I'm going to talk about, well, let me talk about this first, actually. Do you play baseball? You play fantasy baseball? You play fantasy sports? We're going to be doing all of our baseball stuff soon, so yes, those rankings will be coming out, and yes,
check 'em out.
we will crush it again for you. All right, so here's one guy in my 2-quarterback league that I snagged up, and I was very happy, and that's Mr. Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, he didn't have gaudy numbers by any means, but he threw for 3,600 yards. He had 23 passing touchdowns. What I really liked about him was the sneaky 6 rushing touchdowns he got. But the thing about him that was so great, especially in a 2-quarterback league, but even in a little bit deeper leagues, was his consistency. Low on the turnovers, just very consistent every week. You could bank on his points. Sometimes you have these quarterbacks that throw up a monster game to win you a week, but then have 2 terrible weeks that lose it for you. He was just very consistent the whole way. And Tony Romo, I'm sorry, you don't got a job no more. I think you're out of Dallas this year, and this is the future.
Oh, he's definitely out of Dallas.
No, they said, Jerry Jones is like, we're going to try to keep him.
He's not going to be a backup.
But that contract, he's going to restructure. I called it early. I called it week 5 of this NFL season that whenever Prescott was playing so well, going to Denver.
That's where it makes the most sense, but they don't. We'll get into that. That's a whole nother.
That'll be another video that I will
Matt Ryan is one of the guys that really surprised a lot of people.
He did pretty good.
And, we were actually higher on him than a lot of people were. I thought the overcorrection from last year for his touchdowns, he only had 21 touchdowns 2 years ago, but the yards were still there. I think he still threw for 4,500 yards. So the touchdowns were kind of fluky, only being at 21, but he jumped all the way up to 38 touchdowns. I mean, it was insane. Threw for just under 5,000 yards. Matty Ice, amazing year. Gave great value for people that waited on a quarterback.
All right, I'm going to talk about a running back that you might not even realize how good he did, and that's LeGarrette Blount.
Good year.
And I know what you're thinking. Lewis got hurt, but they had White in the mix, and how much did they possibly? They did throw it a lot. He had 18 rushing touchdowns.
It's pretty good.
18. That's ridiculous. So in a standard league, Blount was amazing, but in a PPR, people downgraded him so much because he never catches the ball that he went for nothing on draft day. So the fact he got 18 touchdowns, also that consistency factor, I loved having LeGarrette Blount this year.
Oh, I downgraded him.
Can't help to. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? I mean, but
I didn't take him in a league action. You're like, Blount? And I was like, there's no running backs left. I didn't have a choice.
Great year. Can't take it away from him, that's for sure. DeMarco Murray's a guy that was getting disrespected on draft day. I think I gobbled him up in like the 5th or 6th round in a few leagues. Like, it just
you had a lot of shares of Murray.
Well, everyone was just so excited about Henry for good reason, but there's just, you never know with rookie running backs. They're not always going to throw them in there, especially when there's a solid veteran. And that offense was set up for running the ball, and Murray took advantage. He even played hurt for 3 or 4 weeks, and he still ended up with over 1,500 total yards, 12 total touchdowns. It'll be very interesting to see what happens next year if they end up still having both those guys on that team. But Murray, he's got to be in the discussion for a first-round pick next year.
Next guy I'm going to talk about is Jay Ajayi, and our boy, Arian Foster, it finally ended, I love Arian, but Jay Ajayi, even when Foster, went on his way, nobody really. It was like, who's gonna take the lead of it? Will it be Ajayi? All of a sudden, this kid comes in and starts running for 200 yards. First game he's running for 200 yards, getting touchdowns, just playing amazing. He ended up with over 12,000 yards. He had 1,200, not 12,000. 1,200 yards. That would have been an amazing year. But then he also had those 8 rushing touchdowns. But the thing about him is just, he had that big spike in the middle of the year that he was a great waiver wire pickup. If you got him, you were able to ride him a little bit. Every week we were ranking him, it seemed like, in the top 10. So Jay Ajayi had a solid year, and again, next year he should be poised to very much repeat those numbers.
Tyreek Hill is a guy that
It was fun.
definitely surprised some people. I mean, yes, we all knew he had the big play potential, but I don't think many people thought it would come together like it did towards the end of the year in terms of just him always finding a way to have a big week, it seemed. Like whether was it a kick return, was it a long run, was it a long catch? But he ended the year creeping up on 1,000 total yards between rushing and receiving. He had 9 total touchdowns. And in the first 6 weeks, he only had 7 catches. So he wasn't even a part of the offense for almost half the season. So with the hype around him, there's going to be a lot going into 2017 in terms of just if he's going to keep going and get more involved. There's already been reports saying that Andy Reid's going to get him even more involved. So Hill might actually end up getting overdrafted next year, but he definitely helped his owners for a guy that you were just picking up off the waiver wire.
So the next, I play in about 7 fantasy leagues. This guy I had 0 shares of. I don't even think there was a time I had him in my queue to maybe draft him, and that's Melvin Gordon. And man, did he just had such a solid year. He had 12 total touchdowns. He was running good. He could catch the ball. And the reason I didn't like him coming into the year is like, well, he's going to always not get the third down work. He's not going to pass down. Danny Woodhead actually gets more touches than him in the red zone. Danny Woodhead went down, and Melvin Gordon took complete control of that job, just being a stud running back. And depending how well or not well Danny comes back, it's his job. He is going to be a first or early second round pick next year. It's just, you can't overlook how good he did.
See, we're not afraid to admit when we're wrong, because this next guy I was wrong about, and I'd say Brent probably was on the similar page that I was. Actually, he liked him a little bit more than I did. Michael Thomas.
I did.
You liked him a little bit more than me, but I mean, I was looking at it. They just got Fleener. They got Willie Snead to feed. They got Cook out there. I just didn't see there being 1,137 yards left for Thomas, including 9 touchdowns for a rookie receiver on an offense that likes to spread the ball around. Like, the kid's good. I mean, he is very good at football. I think he's going to be a staple in that offense for a long time. I'm a believer now, but now you're going to have to pay a hefty price tag for him. But he was a steal on draft day.
But to me, he's Colston, but he has even more of an upside. He's even better than Colston in his prime.
I
like, that's kind of where he is.
I mean, he's that big receiver and can pull down those touchdowns. I mean, he had an amazing year. And on all that offense, if he ends up being that number 1 receiver, I mean, Cook's definitely going to be a factor, but there's a chance Thomas takes over as the number 1 fantasy guy out there.
As of right now, I think I'd rather have Thomas than Cooks coming in. As I sit here today, it just feels that way.
More upside.
I mean, in PPR, either way. All right, next guy I'm talking about is also a receiver, and that's Terrell Pryor. Really interesting year for him, right? So as, who's going to catch the ball in Cleveland? Well, RG3, obviously that didn't work out. Who's he going to throw to? How's this going to work out? And, Terrell Pryor's on the team. No one was really thinking about him because he had that experience where he was like kind of a gadget play guy, little quarterback play. He came over and all of a sudden you're like, this guy is just a stud athlete. I mean, Pryor had over 1,000 yards. He only had 4 touchdowns, but the over 1,000 yards, he was consistently getting a ton of targets. It felt like some weeks that was the only guy that Cleveland offense was looking at to pass the ball to. And the one interesting thing, he's a free agent. And I don't know where these reports are coming from, but apparently he really wants to stay in Cleveland. I mean, he doesn't play basketball, so there's nobody that ever wants to really stay in Cleveland. But if he does, I think it's realistic that he could have another solid year. He's not in wide receiver 1, probably not even 2, but I think he's that wide receiver 3 that you'd love to have on your team.
I'm gonna sneak him into every video. They're bringing Johnny back.
And that's not bringing Johnny back.
That's why he's staying. He's excited about Manziel. Last guy I'm talking about is Kirk Cousins. What a year. I mean, he's and what timing for him in terms of his wallet. I mean, he was playing.
Pay the man his money.
He needs to get paid at this point. Over 4,900 yards, 25 touchdowns, nothing crazy, but he had 4 rushing touchdowns, which is a little sneaky. He only rushed for 96 yards, but he had 4 rushing touchdowns. So Kirk Cousins was a top 5 quarterback this year. I don't know if he should necessarily be drafted as such next year, but easily top 10. And where he was getting drafted this year, it was right on the cusp of that kind of QB1. And, again, if you waited on a quarterback and you got Ryan or you got Cousins, you were very rewarded for that.
Pay the man his money. What's the quote? Do you know the quote? You don't know the quote, do you? Do you know the quote?
Godfather?
Godfather. Anytime I ask you a quote, you either go Godfather or Goodfellas. You just assume it's a gangster movie. No. John Malkovich says it?
No.
That's a terrible toss. Pen flip. Oh, that was so bad.
Check out all our videos. Check out our baseball stuff. We'll be doing a lot of football stuff this offseason. So if you're not a subscriber, make sure to subscribe so you can check them all out.
Throw it. Son of a...